Hello.
Hey.
And welcome to
Black
Essence
Personified.
All right.
We've been gone for a little while. We know. We're sorry.
We had some difficulties going on here.
Some difficulties.
Some surgery, but lucky enough, Pharaoh was like, let's get this done.
We're popping.
He gave me a reason to get dressed today, so I appreciate that. Stop it, baby. You look good. You look good. You almost touched my foot, though. Watch yourself.
I'm aware.
All right, so we're going to get straight into these questions. Let's get down to business. So our topic for today is childhood lessons. Ooh. And, you don't really think about it, but childhood lessons, we do learn a lot from our childhood.
And you shape the adults we become.
Absolutely. So the first question is, what was the first thing you remember wanting to be when you grew up?
That's easy. An elephant. Yeah, hands down. My family tells stories. I wanted to be Dumbo so bad. Why? Like,
an elephant, though? An elephant?
Hands down. Couldn't tell me nothing.
You watched too much Dumbo.
A lot. You know the sad thing is, my family kind of ran with it and forced me as a child to come to my own adult rationalization. Like, I had to be like, oh, guys, I found out I can't be an elephant. And they're like, oh, why? And I'm like, oh, because I'm a boy. A boy has to become a man. I'm like, oh, who told you that? And I'm like, I figured it out.
I can see your family doing that, though, because,
I don't need the gas.
Your mom is very supportive.
Oh, my God. My family will gas you. What you doing, baby? Go do it.
They are fully supportive of anything. I'm surprised they didn't tell you, okay, like, this is what an elephant does.
Nope. We don't ruin dreams. We don't ruin kids' dreams.
See? It's important. That's important.
How about you? What was the first thing?
I'm trying to think. First thing I ever said I wanted to be was a cartoonist.
Ooh. Your art skills are so amazing that I can see you being a really good.
Let me tell you something. It doesn't matter what I say, Pharaoh is going to say I'm good at it. I mean, I don't know if that's just a great friend or if
you're
just
good at everything you put your hands on.
Oh my gosh. Okay, here we go.
Tell me something you put your hands on that came out like a bronze.
Well, me saying that I wanted to be a cartoonist, I was not that great at drawing cartoons. I literally would draw the same face over and over again, the one cartoon with the buck teeth, and I put it on all my notebooks and everything. That's
literally the top skill for a cartoonist. Can you draw the same image over and over again? Most people can't.
Yeah, but nowadays you don't even have to do that. Anyway, the cartoonist dream left a long time ago. And although I was more artist back in the day, well, we are talking about childhood lessons, which is very interesting because there was one time really quick that I went ham on this drawing of a bear with two teeth, everything. When I say the fur was immaculate, it was awesome.
Shady.
And I couldn't wait. I was like, Mom, Dad, you have to see this drawing. I kid you not. My mom and dad did not believe I did that.
That's fine.
At all. And my heart just kind of broke. But you know who believed me? My sister. At least I had one in the household. But my parents were like, you didn't draw this. And I was like, I did. When I said I spent time on that drawing.
Did your parents tell the artist in you?
That could be it. But you know what? Let's go
we just uncover the childhood trauma.
And to this day, I don't draw for nothing.
Don't even hand me
that
a pencil. Don't even hand me a pencil.
Oh my gosh, that ain't the truth. All right. Now that I know that my parents might actually be watching this podcast at some point. But you know what? You should have believed me because I really did draw that. All right, number 2. What are some qualities you remember having as a kid that you pride yourself in today?
I've always been a rational thinker. I have always appreciated the fact that my mind shifts through the BS. If I can't rationalize it, connect it, or measure it, you picture a swindler's dream. And I love that about me. I also think it's the reason why I was much more interested in things other kids weren't interested in, like history and stuff. And I questioned my teachers in a way that they couldn't complain. They're like, wow, you're not being disruptive. You're forcing me to go reevaluate last time I studied this subject.
Right. Which in a lot of ways could be combative, which is what you face through childhood. Let's keep it real.
That's fair.
But I will have to say that, Adrian, you have always been above the time. You have always, when people are talking about now, let's talk about Tulsa Race Massacre. And we weren't learning about that in school. You were like, y'all don't know about the Tulsa Race like, we're in 11th grade, and you're like, no, this is not history. This needs to be, like, you were literally combative to some people, but you really informed us.
I was always, that you reminded me of something that I just realized. I've always been aware of the larger history of Black Americans outside of slavery. And I've always been offended that people always want to talk about the history as if slavery has always contributed to this country. The secret history of Black intellectuals has really shaped our political sphere, So, yeah, no, thank you for that. I appreciate that.
I'm reading a book right now called The Beautiful Struggle by Ta-Nehisi Coates.
Yeah.
So hopefully I'm saying it right. And it's amazing to see the amount of history that his father incorporated into him.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
It's really amazing. And so I hope to do that for my kids because I don't want them to only think of Black people in slavery.
No, yes.
And you were once again ahead of the time because we just accepted education as it was. And you were like, oh no, there's so much that they're not telling you. And it made you the variant, as I've been saying.
All my life, I had to fight.
No, he did. No, he didn't. Some qualities that I still have. I would say my integrity. From the time that I was younger till now, I have always believed in telling the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And that truth is, I'm willing to stand for it. And even if it's uncomfortable for me, like I know a lot of people say this all the time, like people would rather hear the comfortable lie than the uncomfortable truth. And that's not me. That's not me. And I think that it puts a lot of value into my friendships and my relationships because I'm not going to be the type of person to say, he'll be all right. Just give him some time. I'm going to say he did this 3 or 4 times. He's going to do it again.
Yeah.
So you need to choose whether you're willing to accept it or not to accept it. But as a kid, just like you, I think maybe that's why we connected. It did get me into a lot of trouble.
We were rebels.
Like, it got me into a lot of trouble. But yeah, because like my mom would be like, okay, you came home at 5:30, so what were you doing?
Making a play.
And I would say, I was out with my friends at the side of the building, literally making a play, or I was coming up with a song, or I was stepping, I was part of step team. And she'd be like, but I wanted you to come home at this time. So lying for me, I'm a terrible liar. Anybody will tell you that. So I'd rather just stick with the truth.
You can only, what does it say? It's better to ask forgiveness than permission sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so let's go to that next question. Sorry, I went out.
It's just funny because I would also come home late, but my mother was never. It's like she knew I was out there.
But you don't think it was because you're a boy?
Absolutely, 100%. It's because I'm a boy.
Okay, so there we go. Because girls don't have it like that. And my mom had 3 girls before. Well, she had 2 girls, then she had a boy, and it was completely different.
True, and they go to church. Well, I can't. My mom goes to church, but your mom, she's not as lenient on some of those church rules as my mom is.
We're going to have to put that in the topic. All right, next question.
My child, my mother and father. I told you.
Who did you look up to as a kid?
No, you good.
Who did you look up to as a kid?
That's a great question. Well, because I read a lot, it's only natural that big historic figures and kings and philosophers have always kind of inspired me. But I always have to talk about James Baldwin. Sorry.
It's okay. I knew you were going to get to
No. Baldwin. Yeah, Baldwin really helped shape the balance of my Black American identity. I would say Malcolm gives you the pride. He tells you not to take these white people's shit and
absolutely
have that pride. A pride that makes you a gatekeeper to your community.
Amen.
Which I think is extremely important. And then there's Martin. These for me are the big 3 in my understanding of America and my understanding of Black America. These are the big 3 who really inspired me. I used to look up to some other guys, but I have a philosophy now to not look up to any man who's still living. Because, great men have great flaws. It's just the truth of the world.
It's very interesting that you say that about looking up to them because I wasn't really taught much about Malcolm X. which makes sense.
Oh,
right?
Of course,
Wasn't talking much about Malcolm X at all, except for the fact that he was a rebel and he believed in violence.
Black people have negative views of Malcolm X.
Which is crazy, because after doing some research and becoming, someone that has to do my research when it comes down to history, I realized so much about, how iconic he really was. He just believed in not taking any shit, like what you said. He just believed that if somebody's gonna hit you in your face, you don't walk away.
Why should you?
And it makes sense that my parents would not idolize him, because they believed that it was important to just turn the other cheek.
And I do feel like with Black Christians, because he's considered so Muslim, it's another reason why you don't always hear about him in the Black Christian household. Now it's not the same. Now I think we've definitely moved as a community of being a little bit more unified on our prideful view of Malcolm X. I would definitely give Black people more credit now. And even when I was a kid, I definitely had some old Blacks like, you shouldn't talk about. You're not going to get no job scaring white folks. Malcolm scared the white people. That was the thing I was taught as a kid. Malcolm scared the white people, and nothing good comes from scaring the white people. That's old Black.
Nothing good comes out of it. I don't know. I think that right now
we're shaming them. That's different.
Okay. All right. I'm just saying that sometimes people need to be scared a little bit.
Not the most.
If you have a bully that's if you got a bully in school,
okay.
Most people who dealt with their bullies inside school have done what? What is the difference between people who run away and say, "Oh yeah, the bully's gonna come every time at this time," or the ones who stand up to the bully and say, "I'm not gonna take your shit"?
I just believe we should go find other white people to stand up to the white bullies. It's not my job as a Black man to convince a white man to be less of a racist or less of a dick thinker than he is. That's another white man's job.
All right, white people, our white followers, take notes. Join the movement.
Right? Not my job. He's not listening to me. He can only listen to you.
Well,
right?
I do know plenty of white people who have come more on board now than they were before.
Yeah.
And I have to acknowledge the fact that I know that it's probably a lot for them to do that, especially when you've been taught that, you know what, I'm still the hero in every history book.
They believe. I always tell people, white people believe they're the superior race. It's a belief that they have. You can't have a rational conversation with anyone when it's a belief they have. So
this is true.
Go talk to other white people about that shit, because that's not for me.
All right. By the way, I can go into another topic too.
We'll save that. We'll table that.
Who do I look to? Who did I look up to? I would have to say my grandmother.
Okay.
My grandmother died in 1997.
All right.
So I was very young.
Yeah.
Very, very young. And it's very interesting to say that I still looked up to her, because even as a kid, I knew that my grandmother was the glue to my family. The glue when it came to music, creativity, us being a family and staying together. Like, my grandmother was the matriarch. And when she passed away, it felt like that glue was just gone. It diminished. And I saw the immediate difference at my young age. I was like, something's different. I missed my grandmother. I can literally remember some of the iconic moments I had with my grandmother. I felt like even music, the reason for singing.
7 years, about 8 or 10, right?
No, I was younger than that. I was like 7. You said 8 or 10? Is that really how you do it?
You're born in 88.
So you're doing the math and saying.
You said 97?
Yeah. All right, we're gonna have to. Because clearly none of us are great at math.
I thought that was close.
Write it down in the comments.
7,
See, first off, did anybody realize his range though? He said 8 or 10. So don't even do that.
Because you should be right at 9. I don't want to go too far.
Look at it. What I do know is, like, I remember a lot of like specific things with her. And
what's your favorite?
My favorite memory with my grandmother? Me coming by the house and her being like, everybody come into the living room, we're gonna sing. Like, why are we practicing songs? We're not even performing anywhere. But everybody, grandma starts going in there, she goes on the piano, we're gonna sing. All of us.
That's beautiful.
Whether we want to or not. And so, for that, I just...
That's beautiful.
I miss her, and I in certain ways, I had 3 people at different times in my life say to me that I have my grandmother's spirit. And for me, that's probably like the best compliment ever.
That's literally like ancestral comment. Like, yes, tell me I'm
I'm always trying to get everybody together,
awesome
you know.
Tell me that.
Yes, create a moment. Let everybody let's dance. Everybody let's sing. Like I've been told at 3 separate times.
All the time. Can't tell every time I've been routed into a original Gemini New Age composition.
Anytime, baby. Anytime. Okay. This might be a shorter question. What are some things you liked as a kid but don't like now?
So much. Jeez. God. I just feel like the older you get, the just more you hate new young people shit. Like, I don't like emo rap, the new emo rap they have. I don't like the way these new rappers look with all that funny shit on their face and all this color hair shit. I'm not feeling that.
Funny shit on their face, meaning what?
The tattoos. Like, crystals. Didn't someone just put a pink crystal in their head? I saw it on the
Lil Uzi Vert?
That's why. You said that name before. I had to look it up.
Yeah, but not every rapper's putting jewels and stuff on their head.
It doesn't have to be every rapper. There's like one with like a bunch of tattoos and really rainbow colored hair and
I didn't know that you were so against tattoos.
Against face tattoos.
Okay. You gonna get a sleeve?
Yeah, I do want a tattoo.
What are you trying to get in your arms? We should do a podcast on that. Let's do it. He said. Okay.
What are we talking about?
I'm trying to think of like what I can't even think of how to answer this question. Some things I liked as a kid but don't right now.
Candy. I don't like candy anymore.
Yeah, candy, which is kind of crazy. How do you not like candy? I love candy. The only thing I can think of right now is like avocados. Yeah, I don't know why. It was like avocados are so nasty, and I think it's maybe it was just the avocado my mom gave me. I think it was because it was green. I don't know. There was just a whole bunch of different factors, but I like mint chocolate chip ice cream.
I don't like the way it feels in my mouth.
But avocados?
Honestly, I feel like we were invaded because avocados did not exist in normal conversation before like 2011, and then no one was pushing avocados. Out of nowhere, all these little green men came out of nowhere. People talking about, oh, it's not right. It's too right. Oh, it's spoiled.
Oh, shoot.
Put some salt on it. Like,
it's so good, though. You have avocados and toast, avocado. Like, I love guacamole. You know, you watch them make it together. I'm just so into it. I'm just like, yes.
Little butter on my toast.
I'm old fashioned.
A little butter on my toast. I'm sorry.
All right, so we have one more question.
Oh.
This question is: if you could take a trip back in time to talk to the child you, what would you say?
The problem with that is my younger child self is so arrogant that if I came back to try to talk to him, he was like, just because you fucked up, don't mean I'm gonna fuck up. So I think I would. I know, right? You know him personally, right?
Did he ever leave?
A little bit. What the fuck would I say? I think the advice I would give him is something simple, like, buy stocks, get into the finance shit that you research but don't invest in. You know a bunch of smart shit, but you're not putting your smart shit to work for you. My younger self is so concerned with analyzing and figuring out how the world came to be this way and what's up with human beings that he may have missed some opportunities in his overstudying. So I would try my best to get that across to him. But again, that little nigga be like, "Could you fuck up? I'm a fuck up."
Invest in stocks. Invest in stocks.
How about you?
For me, I think I'd be more focused on, I don't know what era this is, but to say that if I was coming back as me, like, are we coming back as adult us, to younger us?
Ninth grade us. 9th, 10th grade us.
9th grade, 10th grade. I think that I would really struggle to believe the person coming to me, to think that was actually me.
I would agree with
9th grade Gemini was completely different from, adult Gemini. And 9th grade Gemini was like, quiet, reserved in certain ways, like in the classroom. Outside of that, if I knew you, I was a hot mess. And people like you just completely welcomed me in and made me feel comfortable, right? I feel like I was very insecure about the way that I looked. So I definitely had the relaxer. I definitely was trying to be the epitome of what society would say was beautiful. And I never could reach that. Because I look back on those pictures, I'm sure a lot of you guys do too. You look at yourself in high school and you're like, oh my gosh, I was so skinny and I thought I was so fat and oh my gosh. Oh, you heard it. I'm sure you heard it from all of us.
From all of you. That's a good
From
statement.
all of us.
And here I am like, no, guys, stop.
That's exactly what Farrell would say. He's like, you're beautiful. And he would say it to all of the girls in the crew, but we all were like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. Every single time. So if I were to go back in time, I would definitely tell me, like, you are beautiful, you are smart, and you're going to make it.
Farrell already told me that.
Yes, all three things is what Farrell has told me in my past time. But I think me saying it to myself,
hopefully it'll hit.
It will probably hit.
I think you also seeing this version of you will give yourself more confidence.
Yes.
Like, the biggest thing is you were trying to be someone else while still being yourself. Makes sense? Like, there's some good aspects of your nature, the music and stuff we were doing. And you were so phenomenal at that, but you would internalize some other shit. Like, come on, baby, look at you with all this talent. You know, like, stop. I would not say that. But have you picked up a pen?
Stop. But yes, I think it's also important to have a good support system in your childhood. And as I've definitely listened to a couple of podcasts that was talking about your first actual 7 years of life can somehow pinpoint the way that you look at love, can look at the way that you view, they value friendships or not value friendships, even the way that you look at your family. So, we were really blessed to have each other.
I say it every time. Anytime I have a birthday or I have to think back on my life, I've had some bad times, but I've been blessed with you and just phenomenal people in my life. I cannot say I haven't. And, you guys make it all worth it on this rock, spinning through the void with all these crazies. So, if you've enjoyed this episode of Black Essence Podcast,
please make sure to subscribe by pressing the subscribe button down below and also pressing the bell.
You can also follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Black Essence Pod. We look forward to seeing you guys soon.
Yo, it's Patience from the Black Black.